What is up, action takers? Today we are joined by Shannon Hinderberger. She's a social media expert. She's been working in the marketing industry for over 20 years. And I'll tell you what, this conversation is awesome. We talk about how to defeat imposter syndrome, how to set up your own social media marketing plan, all around the context of the small business owner just like you. If you haven't yet, make sure you smash subscribe, smash the like button for everyone on YouTube, and let's get into this episode with Shannon Hinderberger. Let's go. Yo, Shannon, what's up?
The sky. That's what I tell my 10-year-old every time she asks me. The sky is up. Has anybody ever said that to you?
Oh, but I'm going to steal that because as a father myself, I always need more dad jokes in the belt buckle. You know what I'm saying?
You always do. You know what's up? It is like nice and 63 degrees here in Bend, Oregon. And this is the perfect weather right now. So it's just what's up, the weather, it's sunny, and it's the perfect time to visit Oregon, though people will probably kill me for saying that.
Well, I should hope not. I mean, you know, anytime you're outside enjoying life, that's a good time. But in the meantime, I want to talk about building our businesses. Right?
Yes.
We had a chance to meet at Meta Gather in DC, which was a sick event, met dozens and dozens of people. And I got to say, Shannon, the conversations that we were having around digital marketing were really compelling. And I said, all the after hours entrepreneurs out there, they need to hear these stories, right?
Yeah.
We need these strategies. So I want to get right into it and just kind of talk a little bit about what got you started, Shannon. So how did you get started in digital media?
I've been in digital marketing since 1998. I originally went to the University of Nebraska for broadcasting. I wanted to be a TV anchor my whole life. And then my first internship that I had, actually the only internship I had, they asked me what I wanted to do when I was done. And I said, I want to eventually be a TV anchor. And the morning show producer who was mentoring me said, you don't have the look. And I was like, oh, okay. So I've spent 4 years in going to school for broadcasting and I don't have the look. So what do you suggest I do? And he said that I should go into producing newscasts, assignment editing, and things like that. So I took what he said to heart and went all in as a news producer. And after I graduated school, my first job also was part of a big cable company, which at the time cable companies were going into internet and telecom, and this specific like telecom company had a news station. And so I was getting the mail one morning and bumped into somebody, and I'd never met before, and they asked my name and what I did, and I said, well, I'm the news producer. And they said, oh, well, I'm looking for a news producer for our interactive division. And I was like, what? And this was 1998, so we're 2 years into the internet boom, the tech boom. And I said, tell me more about that. And he said, 8 to 5, you work with the local TV station, which is where I worked, and you put the news up. And when people open their computers, they will see the news as their landing page. And so that's how I got into internet marketing. The hours were better. The pay was 3 times as much as I was getting paid. And it launched me into digital marketing. I started as a news content writer, and then I went into kind of marketing and PR from there. And ever since, I've been in some sort of internet or PR or digital marketing role. And then in 2017, I decided to, after just not being happy working for other people, going into business for myself. And I've been a small but scrappy boutique digital marketing agency in Bend, Oregon. I'm also a coach too. So I ended up going into coaching as well. So
super cool. And I really want to hear more about that transition from employee to employer. But before we do that, I got to back up to this person who said you don't have the look for TV, right? So I've thought about this a lot, and I just want to contextualize it because throughout our lives we get so much quote unquote advice. Okay, I'm doing the little quotations for everyone that's listening, but you can see those on YouTube. These beautiful fingers quoting. We get so much quote unquote advice throughout our lives. And it's amazing to me, the stuff that sticks in our heads, some of which is good, but so much this advice is just bull crap. And for some reason we decide that I need to adjust my entire life all my business, all my decisions based on this one piece of advice I heard this one time. So going back to that moment, do you feel like you maybe shouldn't have given that advice as much credence as you did?
So I held on to it until it was 1998 till 2018, that I needed to be behind the scenes, that I was not leadership quality, because you see a news anchor as a leader. Not necessarily though. The news anchor basically takes lead from, the general manager and the news producers and sometimes the reporters. But I took that as this, I am not a leader. And so I just stayed behind the scenes in everything that I did. And my girlfriend from high school and grade school, I've known her since first grade, said, that person did a disservice to you as leaders. Him being a leader, he should have said, this is what let's go for it. Let's do it. If this is truly what you want to do. But I held on to it for a long time. And the TV industry is notorious for, you have to be skinny and beautiful and things like that. And he didn't necessarily come out and say it, but he said it in the way he said it. So I held on to that literally until a year after I started my business.
Yeah. So what happened in 2018, Shannon? What happened in 2018 where you had this aha moment? You were like, that's bull crap. If I want to do something, I can make it happen. What happened?
So in 2016, it really goes back to 2016. I was working in hospitality as a director of marketing for a hotel and convention center. And I just got burned out. And my husband said, why don't you just go work part-time? And, I was side hustling social media then anyways for people. So I have since 2010 always had a few social media clients or a few digital marketing clients. And when I went to work part-time for this digital marketing company, it wasn't really a good fit in the beginning for them. And it really wasn't a good fit for me. Like I said, I need, 8 certain hours a day. They could only pay me 20 hours a week. And that was fine. But then one of their clients approached me and said, would you want to come work for us full time? And I did. And it was my dream company, one of my dream companies to work for, which is a brewery. And it ended up like the first weekend, I was like, oh no, this is not going to work. And I went back to my boss at my new job, and he was like, no, let's make this work. And in the end, I made a decision to leave. But then the next morning I was fired. And it wasn't because I did anything wrong. It was because it just wasn't a good fit for them, even though I was giving 120%. And so from there, I decided that I'm just going to go work for myself. And so the digital marketing company that I went to work for before them, they came to me and said, we could give you your job back, but I think that you would be best served as a business owner. And I was just really like low confidence. Like, I don't know if owning my business is the right thing. And he said, no, you have the drive to do it. And I've watched you manage clients, and I know you can do it. And here's a client that you can have of ours through me to manage. Yes. And so even though it wasn't a good fit to work for them part-time, sitting a butt in a desk, 20 hours a week, this gentleman helped me realize that I was a leader and that I could do this. But then I sat from April 2017 to the end of the year with only 2 clients. And my husband said, you got to do something. You have to do something. Like, you either need to get a part-time job or more clients. And I said, I think I know what I need to do. I think I need to start showing up and sharing tips on social media about social media. And so in January 2018, I did that. And within 6 months, I was full with clients. People were coming to me for coaching. And I realized all along that one thing that happened to me in 1998 was like carrying through everything.
Yeah.
So just standing up and showing up for my business. And as for showing up in my business, people started saying, well, how do I do that? And so then I created, you want to develop content that's authoritative and show that you're the expert, and all you need to be is one step ahead has been my thing this whole time. Like, one step ahead, that's all you need to be. You don't have to know it all. There's a thing called Google. There's YouTube. So if people get stuck, you don't have to tell them you're going to go Google it, but you just have to be one step ahead. And then I realized, oh man, I wow, 20 years of not being a leader. And I can go into various positions I've held over the last 20 years and see where I held myself back and didn't speak up and didn't show my talents as best I could.
Yeah. And listen, these things happen for a reason, right? Like when I look back at all the bad decisions or the bad advice that I've accepted and imprinted as gospel in my brain, like all those decisions, all those pieces of advice, they've led me to where I'm at today, right? So I don't regret any of it, but it would be nice if we just were able to siphon through the good advice and the bad advice. It's difficult. I mean, it sounds like to me, Shannon, you had a case of imposter syndrome. So yeah. How did you get past imposter syndrome and move to being your own woman, your own boss, your own social media representative? How did you overcome imposter syndrome?
I think, I know just showing up and being confident, especially on social media, when I would go to networking events, being confident and sharing my knowledge. And in 2018, I started going to 2 different networking groups, and one was in person and one's online. And the in-person one every week featured somebody to speak. And every month I would try to get like the person to speak, because I felt that the more I spoke, the more I would start to feel like I am confident and I know what I'm doing. And I knew what I was doing too. So it wasn't like, I knew that I knew what I was doing, but then I was like afraid to show up. So I guess like the thing that really helped was showing up and doing it not only on my social media, on my website, in my email list, at networking events. It's just not a one hit thing. It's you want to hit all the places and be confident. And even though if I wasn't confident, I still would put that brave face on and just do it and just be uncomfortable with being confident. If that makes sense.
It makes total sense. I read Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Work Week a few years ago, and there was a piece of advice he gave in there. It's get comfortable with discomfort. Just get comfortable with it. And at first, it's really freaking hard. It's really hard at first. I remember the first time I went live on Instagram, my palms were sweating. I was nervous. I just didn't even want to hit the record or the go live button. But then after it was done, I had a few dozen people that hopped in and said, "What's up?" And I was like, well, this isn't so bad. What? I was stressing out for nothing. And the second time I went live, I was nervous again. And this third, and but you end up getting comfortable with that discomfort to the point where it doesn't even matter anymore. One of the things, by the way, that I found when going to these networking events, even going to the Meta Gather event up in DC, I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Shannon. I didn't know anybody. So what I do is if I'm in an uncomfortable situation, I just smile. Smiling is underrated, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what to say. If you're uncomfortable, just put on a smile and people will be attracted. People will come up and speak,
Yeah, I will say that event was scary to go to because I did know one person. Well, actually I knew 2 people, but I didn't know them well enough. But it was really scary to jump into a group of 497 people who I didn't know. And I walked away with, it was a life-changing experience. And I've caught up with so many people now that I've come back. I even taught a free class on Reels within the group. I was like, I see you guys are all struggling. Like Meta only gave a 30-minute presentation about Reels.
Right.
Reels and Instagram, for that matter, needs a 10-hour masterclass. And so I had said, hey, I will give 2 hours of my time for nothing. And I had 25 people come. I had 100 and some sign up, but I didn't charge them for it. And I didn't sell them on anything after. I just said, this is what I do. And if you want to leave me a Google review, awesome, but, just keep me in mind, but not a hard sell at the end. And so many people were like, wow, this really helped. So just helping people and being one step ahead, though that app changes literally every day. It's really hard to teach a masterclass on something that changes every day. But I wouldn't have been able to do that 5 years ago. I wouldn't have been able to say like, hey, I do this or feel comfortable with it. But it was just, I think what helps me is people coming back and saying that's impacted me. Wow, I made a video, thank you. Or, you know what? Somebody had come and said, I really want to master Instagram Reels, but I've never done video. And I'm like, well, then Instagram Reels isn't the place to start. And I had gave them 2 other pathways to start. And you're like, wow, that's great advice, because I could just be like, just do reels, because that's where everybody's at right now. But it's like, if you want to be comfortable, once you're comfortable but a little more uncomfortable, maybe reels is the next spot to go to. So yeah. So
well, Instagram reels are super hot right now. TikTok, anything that's short form, right, is super hot right now. What else would you recommend if someone's like, Shannon, I don't know if I want to put myself out there. I don't know if people are going to care. I'm not feeling confident. What are these other two avenues that you might recommend starting with?
So sometimes I start them on Instagram stories and Facebook stories. And now TikTok has shorts or stories, and YouTube has shorts. It's called shorts, I think. The reason why I say I think is I don't use it, but I have clients that use it that really enjoy the YouTube shorts part. And then I often think like, I need to do that. Pinterest even has a version of it that you can do as well. But I say start there, because they go away in 24 hours. And it's just the best place to start if you want to get comfortable with video. The other thing, a lot of people, live is a great place to start. Yes, it's live, but you can also delete it when it's done. And so once you get the hang of going on and teaching for 5 minutes on live, I also tell folks, like, I say, start with stories, then live. With your lives, you can pull them down and put them onto YouTube, repurpose them, put them onto your website, make a blog post about it. And there's so many other things you can do with that live besides go live. You can just go back and make short reels from it. You can go back, and for a while I was doing a live and then putting it on my website. Now I've gone to not going live, but writing a blog post and like attaching a reel to it. Because when somebody hits your website and there's a video, the on-page time for your website goes up, which signals to Google authority. And so the best place to start is those. I went down a rabbit hole, but stories or going live.
You mentioned this way of going live and then extracting reels from that live video. How are you doing that? I haven't heard this before. How are you doing that?
So what I have done with myself and with clients is I have a client that has a podcast, an hour-long podcast. It's on Mondays about feeling to heal. And in this, she's a therapist, and she talks about one thing you can do to heal yourself that week. And then we watch the live that she does. And then we kind of like, timestamp, like from here to here would be a great soundbite. And then we go into something like Final Cut. You can do it in Canva as well, but you could just make an audio clip of that. Also, there's great apps on your phone like CapCut. You can trim it down and then load it in and load a 90-second reel up. They just went to 90 seconds.
But that's not a live though, right? Are you talking about?
You're taking the live. She goes live. So she actually broadcasts live on YouTube. And so we take it from YouTube. And then she doesn't go live on Instagram or Facebook, but she goes live for about an hour on YouTube. We pull it down, and then we take little chunks from her live that are anywhere from 15 seconds to 90 seconds. We were doing 60 seconds, but then now Reels made 90 seconds. But you could take your Facebook Live and do the same thing. Pull it down and watch it again and make some timestamp marks. And if you know iMovie, you could take it into iMovie. A lot of people have iMovie on their phones or on their Macs, and you can go and trim it down and then load it into Reels. And Canva does this, but I haven't used Canva in a while. And somebody was telling me they use Canva to make their little bite size for Reels. And then you load them up. You can repurpose it.
Super, super cool. Actually, so we're recording this on Riverside FM, which is a program I like. And they actually have a clip generator / puller out, or I don't even know what you would call it. But basically you can create clips straight from Riverside, which has been pretty cool. What I do when I'm recording episodes is every once in a while, in this case with Shannon, I'm getting quite a few gems, but generally when I'm in interviews, there's gonna be certain points where I'm like, wow, that was really good. That was really interesting. And what I'll do is on my little notepad here, I'll just write down 11 minutes, overcoming imposter syndrome, right? That way on the back end, super easy for me to go in, pull out that great little podcast or video clip and repurpose it, right? However, I have noticed, and I'm just gonna be straight with everyone, this is anecdotal, but I have noticed that typically the best sorts of short form video, like reel style, are not clips from an episode, but they're actually like getting in front of my screen and actually talking directly to my audience.
Yeah.
Right?
But you have to start somewhere. And so that's where I tell people to start. because I have better, you have to start somewhere. So I'm like, this is what you can do to baby step into it. But there's times where I was at the Oregon coast and I shot this amazing, picture of the ocean or video of the ocean. And then I was thinking as I was shooting it, gosh, like if I worked for somebody, I would only be able to get 2 weeks off a year. I take about 2 months off, it seems like cumulative. I normally don't work Fridays, and then I take 2 weeks off in the summer, a week in the spring, and a week in the winter. And then I was thinking that, and then I took this video, and then I went and did a voiceover it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be you talking to the camera, though I will say, like, now we're going down a complete rabbit hole here. The ones that where I went and talked to the camera didn't start doing as well until I started consistently doing reels. And for some reason, it's rewarding me with over 1,000 views on those original audio. And I had somebody the other day use the audio. So for the first time. So I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Kind of felt like, I have clients that do talks and reels that get, millions of views on them. And they're always like, why haven't yours? You just give great nuggets of advice. And I'm like, I don't know, but you're right. The best ones are the ones where it's you opening the camera, being honest, but you have to start somewhere. So
let's talk about that a little bit. Cause I totally agree. And yeah, I totally agree that starting somewhere is the step, right? But let's say we've gotten to that point where we're like, okay, Instagram Reels, I'm in, I'm comfortable, I'm confident. I want to learn, like, what are some frameworks that you're going to use when speaking to the camera, right? Are you just going on there and coaching and saying, hey, these are the strategies for a good social media presence? Or are you showing like behind the scenes, like, I just got off my flight, going to go meet John Smith or something, right? Like, or is there a mixture?
It's
right?
It's a mixture. And they tell us the best place to start is the trending audios, which is a great place to practice, but eventually you need to step in to that teaching role and authority role. And I always say the best thing to do is teach one thing and one thing only, and try to do it in 15 seconds. And stories are a great place to start, because I had somebody the other day do a story, and I messaged them and I said, pull that down right now. It was only 15 seconds long. It was a client of mine. Pull that down and send it to me, because that's a reel. So wow. A great place to practice is in stories. And if you say something profound in 15 seconds, pull it down and load it into stories or into reels. But it's a great practicing ground. But they'll say the best place to start with reels is the trending audio, but you want to do a mix of something that can live forever. So you want to think evergreen. So trending is great, but when it comes to authoritative content, hearing your voice and giving that one tip and something that can last forever, because this TikTok and Reels, things last forever on them. So that's the best place to start. Now, if somebody came and said to me, how do I go viral? That to me is like an imposter. It signals imposter syndrome. And I'll normally say, like, that's not what I'm ever going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how to stand out, show up, share, serve your audience, and be consistent with it. And I think those things are what will bring out that viralness. But when somebody says they want their goal is to go viral, I'm like, oh no. That's not where we're going to start.
How do I win the lottery, Shannon?
Exactly. Exactly.
No, you're 100% right. You got to show up day in, day out. And people, typically we only see that tip of the iceberg. We only see that one shining moment. But generally, as humans, we don't focus in on all the hard work that goes on behind it. I can't explain how many thousands of hours I've spent grinding to only just now have the infrastructure in place where I can actually run a podcast agency. It's been years, tens of thousands of dollars spent, and now I'm finally there. Obviously I could have gotten there sooner, but that's the journey that we're on. And that's the reason why it's helpful to hire people like Shannon, so we can get there more quickly. We can get there, with more context. So I do kind of want to talk a little bit more about social media, who should be on it, who shouldn't be. One of the things that I found, it's very hard to outsource social media. And we talked about this a little bit before the conversation itself. A lot of people are like, I don't want to worry about social media. I don't want to be on it. I'm just going to outsource it to one of my assistants or one of my team members, or maybe to an agency. Do you think it's possible to outsource your social media to a high level? And B, should we as the owner, as the entrepreneur, as the CEO of our business, do we need to be an integral part of our social media platform?
So yes, you can hire out your social media, but you have to, the business owner, the whomever that is, still needs to be part of the marketing and still show up. And I have 2 clients that hired us, one that I've had long-term and one that I've had for a few months, that have big audiences or make lots of money off of Instagram, that have hired us and they want to take a break from their Instagram, and Instagram is their main source of revenue. One of the things that I do, our agency does, is that we go in and we find the other areas that are hurting, and we focus on those as well. So we go in with this spoke approach, like you have to do email marketing, you have to be doing content writing, you have to be doing social media, networking, have your elevator pitch down, your messaging, you have to have all these things kind of like humming along on a bike, with your bike as you go along. But a lot of times they'll think that, oh, I'm just going to hire you and you're going to do it on, I don't have to show up anymore. And one of the things I really stressed in the beginning is like, you're still going to need to do stories. You're still going to need to go live, and you're still going to have to be the star of your social media. We can learn your voice, write your copy, but I have one client that still writes 1 post a week. And it's usually the best post because it's like her struggle of the week. But I'm like, we will take those things off your plate, and we will take a plan. We will develop a plan based on your marketing plan. And I will tell you 90% of businesses don't have a marketing plan. Small business owners don't have it. They're going month to month. And so it's like, let's make a plan. Let's stick to the plan. Let's be consistent. But you still have these tasks to do. So my business has been around for 5+ years, and I have a client that I've had for 6. So I had them before I started my company, and several that I've had 4 years plus. So it is manageable to have a social media company do your social media long-term. I had one that just graduated, a client of mine just graduated to hire somebody internal, and I was happy for that. They needed to do it, and it was the time they needed to. They'd expanded so much with our help that they hired a marketing coordinator in-house.
Awesome.
40 hours a week. So, but yes, it's doable. You just have to set the parameter of the owner, the business owner, the staff need to be part of the marketing. And I seem to do well with companies that have staff that they don't have a marketing coordinator, but they have staff members. Like they have one as a doctor's office. They have nurses and doctors and CMAs and front desk staff, and they've just taken me in as part of their staff. I just don't work there. Another company that I work with is an adult toy shop where they have staff that are certified sexual health educators, and they don't want to be part of the social, but I come in and I blend them into the social media. Not necessarily the owner of that company, but their staff is the focus and how they are the resource. So finding a way to involve the staff or the owner of the company. I work with a skincare company, and she is the face of her business, and she'll never not be the face of it unless she sells it. So,
well, and I think that's the new business owner. It's that creative business owner that is the face of the business, at least when we're talking about, after hours entrepreneurs, small business owners. You are the face, right? So to kind of go a little bit deeper, you mentioned something I think is really important, is that most small business owners, we don't have a social media marketing plan. We just kind of wake up and we do what we feel like in the morning, right? And honestly, I'm somewhat guilty of that. Although I've really implemented podcasting as the primary infrastructure to my marketing plan. But Shannon, can you help me? Can you help all the small business owners out there? What is the key? What are the keys to creating a social media marketing plan?
The keys to creating you have to know one of two. There's 2 things, and you can go one path or the other path. The first thing is knowing the struggles of the people that buy your products or services. If you do not know that, I always suggest to take the time to get to know your customers and ask them, why are you buying that product or service? If you're not comfortable with doing that, what are the top 6 things you keep getting asked about your product or service? And then from there, create content around those 6 topics. And maybe what it is like it's 6 weeks. And you first week you're tackling topic 1, the next week tackling topic 2, 3. And from that, you'll get more, people will start to ask more. And I have a great little tool that the 6-week Steal My Content 6-week content planner is a great place to start. And it kind of outlines the content types you need to be involving during the week. And it's connection, inspiration, teaching, entertainment, and selling. And you want to do those first 4 80% of the time, and that selling one 20% of the time on your social media. So many people want to just sell every day. What they need to do is they need to make their company, their product, their service, the authority in that niche. So if you're a real estate agent that sells homes in Sun River, Oregon, which is south of where I live, it's a really niche community. It's actually the #1 place for remote workers in the country. You're going to want to be walking the talk, talking the walk about that specific area. If you are a podcast host or a podcast coach or a podcast company, you need to be saying why, what the struggles of people who want to start a podcast, and you want to connect with them, you want to inspire them, you want to teach, entertain, and that's where TikTok and Reels really come in, and sell the services. And so I have it broken down into kind of a 6-week ebook that I have out there. So
super cool. I'm definitely gonna be checking that out because I really like the way you've structured that. And I'll tell you, there are definitely accounts that I follow that all they do is just sell like the new pair of pants that are on. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's exhausting, right? Like, I don't think you want to, if every post looks like a sponsored ad, there's probably something wrong.
Yeah.
There's probably something wrong there. Super cool. And again, links below to shannonleestrategy.com where you can get your 6-week plan. That's shannonleestrategy.com. Shannon, I want to shift just a little bit here because, we're in a Web 2 world, social media dominated, that's pretty mature now, right? And I want to talk a little bit about what kind of, because this is really interesting to me. You can see my metaverse goggles up here. I want to talk a little bit about what's happening in Web 3. So just to kind of lay this up for anyone who's like, Web 3, what the heck is Mark talking about? He's talking a different language. I'll just break it down real briefly. Web 1 is like the original internet. It's really about reading and consuming, getting information. Web 2 is about creating content. And then Web 3 is about owning content, right? That's, I think, the best way of thinking about it. But where do you see things going, Shannon? What are you excited about in this Web 3 world?
Oh, I am excited and nervous and all the things. This reminds me of when everything started and I was like this way early adapter in 1998. And then like social media came in, and then now we're in this like creators dominated world. And so one of the things I tell all of my coaching clients and all of my clients is you need to think like a creator. You need to think like a creator and create content because there's no stopping what's going to happen. I think I shared with you at Gather that at Social Media Marketing World, Web 3.0 was the thing. They were talking about NFTs and metaverse, and the keynotes were about that. And I really think that putting the creator hat on and thinking, how can I be a creator, is going to be key to this. Every business owner needs to be a creator or have somebody that can help them create the content that puts them forward, because I just got unlocked Reels and Facebook bonus, which I still I'm like, what does that mean? They said they're going to pay me $500 a month to create Reels.
Nice.
$500 a month. And I just got it. And, one of the things they talked about at Social Media Marketing World is our children are probably going to be paid to create content. So hang out with build Roblox games is like the one thing that like my son really wants to build a Roblox game. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I don't know how to, like, I've been trying to find tools. I'm sure there's classes. I really haven't dug that deep, but they had alluded to like, your kids are going to make money off the content they create. So why not now, as business owners and strategists and consultants, we need to start thinking that way. And what does that exactly mean? And they were like, really, it's a really like early adoption on it. I know you have a lot to say about this. The other thing is we talked a little bit about NFTs, and I told you the story about my favorite singer has a Substack, and that was his dip into membership content. I don't know how many people he has. He's like #1 for music on Substack. And he drops us things in the mail, especially if you are a founding member. And that's kind of like how it's like the NFT model, but we're seeing things like Substack and Patreon. We've been seeing those where if you're part of a founding circle, those creators will reward you as well. And so it's like you're paying to be part of that space with that person, and that person gets to know you because you're a founding member, and they're dropping you a really cool mug in the mail.
That's cool.
Or a lyric book. I got a lyric book in the mail. Like that was the best surprise, a sign. And it said for my favorite founding member.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, don't get me started on NFTs. I can go way deep.
We could like talk a whole episode about it.
Oh, I forget about it. I have an entire podcast, right? NFTs Made Simple. But I think you mentioned something, Shannon, I think that's really important to understand, and it's that like now is the time. Now is the time to start the creating, because I think as humans, we tend to look forward and we look backward, but we don't look at the present, you know, and we tend to like, I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the opportunities today thinking that, oh, I'll always be able to do Instagram and reach thousands of people with a reel. It's not going to happen. You have a unique time right now, but like, you know, MySpace is gone. MySpace is gone. It was a big Clubhouse. I mean, I met so many people through Clubhouse. It completely exploded my business, but Clubhouse is completely petered out. It was huge. But now, I mean, it's not like it's gone now, but it's not what it was in 2021. So I just think it's important that we're evolving. We're working with people like Shannon. We're building out social media marketing plans to figure out what's working now and what can I lean into. And I'm not saying that, you know, your Instagram reels are going to be your primary source of income.
Yeah.
You know, but it's going to be a part of it. So as you know, and I preach this a lot to the people in my podcast mastermind program, is like, it's not about one source of income. It's about a dozen. You know, you definitely would have one big ticket offer, but when you have all these little side incomes coming in, it helps to pay the bills. And if you lose that big client, it doesn't matter because I'm still got these other ways of generating income. So I just think it's a really good point, really good way to, I think, summarize Web3, Shannon. So before I let you go, Shannon, I do want to get into the rapid fire. So get ready, get loose. It's time to roll. But I just want to encourage everyone, go to shannonleestrategy.com to get your free 6-week planner. That's shannonleestrategy.com. That's shannonleestrategy.com. There's a link below. Click it. What are you waiting for? Go click it right now. All right. So Shannon, let's talk a little bit about rapid fire. Shannon, you ready?
Yep.
You got your seatbelt on?
Yep.
All right, good. So
I'm ready.
I don't know why. I just love it. Some of the responses I get are priceless. Shannon, what's the scariest movie you've ever seen?
Jaws.
It's a good one.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, terrifying. I don't know if you've ever been out in the open ocean before. No.
Nope.
As a scuba diver, when you get taken out into the open ocean, you get dropped in, and you're just terrifying to not know what's coming from you in that all the 360
I don't
degrees.
like to be dropped in the open ocean, so I'll go to Mexico and hang out on the beach, and that's about it.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. So Jaws is the scariest movie. I'm sorry to say it, Shannon, but you're on death row. It's your last day on Earth. Your final meal. What are you ordering?
Spaghetti and meatballs with a side of garlic bread. A big loaf of garlic bread. I'll probably eat the whole thing.
You can't go wrong. If you could live anywhere on Earth, where would you live?
Oh, that one's tough. I actually like where I live. So I live in Bend, Oregon, which is Central Oregon. It's mountains, 2 or 3 hours from the ocean. So, and I plan to be here for the rest of my life. So I'm just going to say I'm going to stay put.
To me, that's the best answer. If you could travel to space, would you take that option?
Yeah, I would take that option.
If you were on a plane flight, who would you want to sit next to on your perfect plane flight?
Okay, so I'm going to sit next to 2 people. I'm going to take the middle seat. And this has nothing to do with business, but my favorite 2 artists in the world are Bono from U2. So I want him next to the window. And in the aisle, I want Jeff Tweedy from Wilco. And now I know who Jeff Tweedy is. He is like the most underrated songwriter in America right now, rock and roll songwriter. So
very cool. You know what I love about this is you had it planned out. You knew where you were going to sit. You knew who's going to be on the window and on the aisle. I like that.
Somebody has asked me this question before, and they're like, I can't believe you didn't say. I got asked this question like 6 months ago. I was like, I can't pick. There's like two people that I want to pick their brain. So
dig it. Cupcakes, overrated, underrated?
Overrated. I'd rather eat like a bagel. I don't know. I'm a sweets person, but I prefer bagels over cupcakes.
Yeah, it's, you know, I didn't realize how popular cupcakes were until I had kids and every party has cupcakes, but they're totally
they're overrated.
Overrated, 100%. You heard it, Joe. You heard it, Joanna. Overrated. And last question here: if you had 10 seconds with yourself 10 years ago, what would you say?
Start your own business.
Wise words, and I hope everyone takes that to heart.
Yeah, 10 years ago, I had lost my job. I just had a baby. My daughter's 10. This is how I know this. I lost my job and I had the opportunity to start my own business, and I got scared and went and worked for somebody. But that job that I had was the thing that helped me get a little bit more confident in myself because I had great leadership. So
love it. Love it. Shannon, thanks for joining the show today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Dude, I don't know about you, but Shannon is just awesome. I love this episode. I love that story about holding on to bad advice. Have you ever done that? Has that been a problem for you? I know for me, and as I shared in the episode, that it's so easy to get caught up on a bad piece of advice, and it can completely shift the entire way that you view the world, that you view yourself, that you view your business. Don't let that happen to you. Don't let that happen to you. It's not right. So go out, create, don't hate. Go out and create something amazing. Watch what it does for your business. And listen, if you've been thinking about podcasting, if you've been thinking about how that can impact your business, maybe your podcast isn't hitting as well as you'd like it to. It's not achieving your goals. Let's get on a call. I'd love to help you. Mark@marksavantmedia.com. It's pretty simple. Mark, that's me. Mark@marksavantmedia.com. Shoot me an email. Let's hop on a call. Totally free. I want to help you. Let's chat. In the meantime, go take the action. We'll catch you next time on the show. Peace.